What's up guys, this is Kephas, and in this video, we are going to be visiting the final zone of Zandalar, Vol'Dun. Vol'Dun is the northwestern desert region of the island, and is by far the most unique of the three regions. Both the jungle and swamp we've already visited were very dense and dark with forestry, but Vol'Dun is a vast open desert, and it's quite refreshing. It's actually been quite a long time since I visited an open zone like this at endgame, and I think that's what makes it most appealing. And though Vol'Dun isn't the first desert we visited in Azeroth, it does feel like it's the most unique, primarily because Vol'Dun is a red desert, and it contains a good number of new and unique creatures, including hippos, which, by the way, I am extremely excited about, mainly because I live near the Cincinnati Zoo, and if you know anything about that zoo, then you know all about the baby hippo Fiona, which is just adorable. Yeah, let's just say that my hunter's gonna have a hippo pet named Fiona. Anyway, Vol'Dun is probably my favorite region in Zandalar, mainly because of the aforementioned uniqueness and refreshing openness, but equally because of its various themes. So Vol'Dun is exiled lands for the Zandalari, because it's where King Rastakhan sends trolls to be exiled, which is somewhat surreal if you played Conan Exiles recently.
What will you do, exile, when there is nothing left but to live or die?
Vol'Dun is also home to the Volpera, which are little fox people, which is somewhat surreal if you've watched Dragon Ball Super recently. And then there are Sethrak, or snake people, which is just plain surreal. I mean, they're actually snake people. What? So you've gotten word that a certain troll general is rounding up all the exiles out in Vol'Dun, and they're seeking to bring down the Zandalari. So you make your way out to the desert to stop them. And the subject of exiles kind of made me think about something a little bit unrelated, but I'm going to share it anyways. It reminded me of the part in the book World War Z when America was just beginning to bounce back from an almost complete collapse of a zombie apocalypse. With resources and manpower low, the idea of a prison system was completely impossible, and the question of what to do with criminals needed to be figured out. So the Attorney General suggested exiling them to demilitarized zones. But the president didn't go along with it, because he recognized the possibility that one day, if left to their own devices, these criminals could mobilize and become a threat down the road. So clearly, King Rastakhan did not read World War Z, because that's exactly what the Zandalari are dealing with now. Come to think of it, Rastakhan is a pretty terrible king. He ignored Zul's warnings about the Cataclysm, and did next to nothing when the Cataclysm actually happened and his kingdom started to sink. He ignored the blood trolls as a credible threat, and now they've become a problem out in Nazmir, and he exiled a bunch of trolls to Vol'Dun, and now they've mobilized and become a threat as well. Seriously, most of the problems that the Zandalari are dealing with now are a direct result of their king not doing anything. He's a terrible king, which means that he's going to fit right in with the rest of the world leaders on Azeroth.
Turn down for what?
So Vol'Dun kind of brings things back to form with Warcraft storytelling. It's generally what you would expect whenever you go to new territory with new creatures. You learn about these new creatures, you learn about how they do things, and then you help them with whatever their problems are. That's basically what goes on in Vol'Dun. The storytelling, at least what I saw of it, was definitely a little bit more slow-paced and a lot less dark compared to Nazmir. Which is really weird to say considering the harshness of the environment and the gravity of what's going on. That just lets you know how dark things get over in Nazmir. But this isn't really a bad thing, because not everything has to be dark and edgy, and I think Vol'Dun might be a good place for people who don't really prefer that kind of storytelling. If you need a break from that, you might want to come out to Vol'Dun. One downside that I realized was that Vol'Dun's questing is very linear, at least the portion that I did. I went for a long stretch of time going from point A to point B to point C, and there really weren't any branching quest lines happening. The main issue with a linear quest progression is that it tends to bottleneck players, especially in the early days of an expansion, and I think you're going to see a lot of that if you go to Vol'Dun first. Fortunately, a lot of this is offset because of the shared looting and shared progress with ungrouped faction members, but if someone's already gone through an area and cleared everything out, you're still going to find yourself waiting around a little bit, and this actually happened to me plenty of times in the beta. Having said that, I only did a couple chapters, so there might be some branching out quests later on, and there were also some pretty fun quests sprinkled throughout, but they really never sent me off the beaten path too far. But the mysteries behind the new races and the different things happening in the zone are what made things interesting for me, at least when it came to the story. And at the end of the day, I had a much harder time stopping myself from playing because I was really into what was happening. Overall, I just really liked the open environment, and environment, at least for me, has always played a big role in my enjoyment with Warcraft. The 3 regions of Zandalar are satisfyingly unique from one another, and the stories contained in them are captivating. I can only hope that Kul Tiras will be able to match the intrigue, and I intend to find this out next week. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. You can also subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at TheKephas to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, this is Kephas, until next time.